Hey guys, I just wanted to go over some really helpful keyboard shortcuts today. So to start off, there are some ones that are pretty standard that you probably already know that translate to InDesign really well. So Command plus or Control plus if you're on a Windows, and I'm on a Mac, and then Command minus. And then in order to have the page kind of fill the whole screen but be able to view the whole thing, it's Command 0. And if you do Command 1, that shows you the size that the text and the images and all will be when you go to print. Like this is the size it is on the real page. So back, Command 0 again, or Control 0 if you're on a Windows. Then I can move this. I'm just clicking and dragging, and then if I don't like that, it's just Command Z, and to redo it's Command Shift Z, and then I'm just going to undo that again. Now this is a really, really useful one. This is one that you should really make a point of knowing. When I enlarge this and disenlarge, shrink it, I'm essentially just cropping it. I'm not actually changing the image inside. I'm going to undo that. But if I hold Command Shift, I can drag both the kind of the cropping border and the actual size of the image. And it's, you can see it's shrinking proportionally. Right, if I just hold Command, I'm still changing both the cropping and kind of the image itself, but I can change it so it has really weird proportions. I'm just going to undo that really fast. Holding Shift constrains proportions, but doesn't affect both this outward cropping border and the image inside, which I can get to by double clicking. So while I could click on them separately and hold Shift on both, I'm just undoing now. If I just click on that kind of outer outline and hold Command Shift, it both keeps the proportions the same so it doesn't get really weirdly squashed or stretched. And it makes it so that I am shrinking both cropping and the image itself simultaneously. Super, super useful. Alright, I'm just undoing a little bit now. Another thing that's going to come up with art and that I talk about a lot more in the text wrapping video is, well, how to get to text wrapping. It's Command Option W, and this little thing should pop up. On a Mac, though, I believe it is Control Alt W, something like that. Yeah. Let me see. Then to place an image, that's going to be Command D. And then you should be able to select an image within the folder. I'm just going to select a random one. That's not what I wanted. Sorry, Command D again. And select like the art. And then you can just click. If you have an image and you want to re-link it, or you want to check if your images are linked, and if you don't know what that means, you can check out one of our other videos on linking images, on placing and linking images. But in order to check if an image is linked, which is super, super important if you want it to PDF properly, you can click on the image and then do Command Shift D, and you can see all of these come up. There are no warning signs, so that's telling me that it's all good, it's all linked. And just by clicking on this, it'll highlight which of the elements on the page I'm clicking on right now. In case like you have a lot of elements on the page and you can't really tell from these little icons which one it is that you're trying to look at. Anyways, yeah, then I'm just going to get rid of that, don't need it right now, and delete that image. Let's do some stuff with text. So first, if I click into the text, I'm just going to hide the whole thing. That's just Command A or Control A, like it's a pretty standard keyboard shortcut. If I hit Command Shift T or Control Shift T on a Windows, I can open up the Tabs menu, and you can see more about how to use that in the Tabs video. Within text, if I wanted to bold or italicize any of it, now Baskerville Old Face, which is the default font for Windows, is going to be Command F, or Control F, like this. If I hit Command Shift T or Control Shift T on a Windows, I can open up the Tabs menu, and you can see more about how to use that in the Tabs video. Within text, if I wanted to bold or italicize any of it, now body text doesn't actually have a bold or an italics version, but if I switch to Bell MT, our headline font, which does, you can see this is bold. If I highlight it though and do Command Shift B, it'll unbold. If I do Command Shift B, or again Control Shift B on a Windows, it will bold it again. And then if I do Command Shift I, it will italicize it. And I'm just going to change this back though to Baskerville Old Face regular. The reason you have to hold Shift and it's not just Control B is because if you click on a text box and you hit Command B on a Mac, Control B on a Windows, it brings up this window, text frames. This is Command B. This is also very useful. You particularly down here, this vertical justification. The text boxes that you're going to be pulling out of CC libraries are automatically vertically justified. But if, say, I set this text box here to top justify, well, I didn't really change it much. Sorry, here. I think this will illustrate the point better. Right now you can see that it's top justified. It's holding 10-point spacing. And then that means that there's a little bit of space at the bottom. But if I do Command B again and justify it, it stretches that spacing out a little bit so that the text goes all the way up to the top of the text box and all the way down to the bottom. And that's just kind of helpful for making sure that text is aligned at both the top and the bottom. Anyway, you get there with the Command B keyboard shortcut. I'll just, oops. Command Z, and I'm just going to make this a little shorter by clicking and dragging. Sorry, I'm just trying to think which other keyboard shortcuts I think are really useful. This is one that you might not use all the time, but if you're on an Esquina page, you can click into the text, Command A, highlight it all, and then Command T or Control T, no shift. That will bring up this. So you can change the fonts here or whatever. I don't know. I like to use this just to change the language to Spanish, which is important just for how InDesign is kind of processing the text and breaking up words if they're too long to fit on a line. Although you can also do that in the text properties bar. But again, that's Command T. There are a number of pretty classic shortcuts that will work for you pretty easily. For example, Command X cuts it, and then Command V will paste it again. I'm just going to undo that. Right, and same for Command C, Command V. Works the same as you're probably used to. Command S saves it, and Command F lets you find things. Command R is one that I don't use that often, but essentially if you see the rulers at the top and along the sides, it will get rid of them. Command R or Control R, and then put it back. I really like to just leave the rulers there. Not really sure. You shouldn't have too much reason to use that. Then there's Command O, which will let you open a new InDesign file. I'm just going to cancel that. Command N. Sorry, let me clarify. Command O lets you open an old InDesign file that already exists that you're opening up, whereas Command N, or Control N on Windows again, is going to be letting you make a new page. Then Command G is another one that can be useful if I want to group elements. For example, maybe I want it so that all my text boxes are grouped together, so I can just move them together rather than having to click on all 5 of them at a time, and you can see more about grouping in our grouping video. But if you highlight a bunch of elements that you want to group together, then you can just hit Command G or Control G on a Windows, I think. And they're grouped, and you can see that now I can kind of just drag them as one entity. I'm just going to undo that though. And once they are grouped, if I want to ungroup them, that's Command Shift G. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the keyboard shortcuts that I use regularly. It'll probably take a little while for some of them to become really instinctual for you, but that's okay. The ones I think are most important are probably just Command Z and Command Shift Z for undo and redo, Command Shift, and then dragging text so that you can make it bigger and smaller proportionally much easier. And and Command 0, which lets you kind of zoom out and see the full page. That's quite useful. Everything else you can use keyboard shortcuts for, or you can kind of use toolbars and file menus in the properties bar in order to do, and so it's just a matter of saving a couple seconds. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much. Oh, just one clarification though, you probably saw that during the video I was trying to say, like, this is what it is on Windows, this is what it is on Mac. I could be wrong on Windows, but I think generally it's just a matter of when you would hold Command on a Mac, you hold Control on a Windows, and I think instead of Option on a Mac, you hold Alt on a Windows. But if I'm wrong on the Windows keyboard shortcuts, I really apologize. I do not think I am, but I could be. And if they're not working, you can always either do them with these, menu bars and properties, or you can just do a quick Google search. Alright, thank you all so much.